What is going on, everybody? Jimmo here again with another exciting video where we're going to be doing a little blend job on this silver Toyota. And I really went over the top to get you guys some of the best camera angles to date so you can really pick this job apart like nothing you've seen so far. You can see already that blend panel is looking a little finger marky, which isn't the greatest, but we're going to move forward anyway. And here we have a plastic bumper that was prepped with a gray Scotch pad and a sanding paste, and of course some plastic cleaners, because with raw plastics, cleanliness is the name of the game. So we're going to first apply a plastic primer, followed by a sealer or a two-part urethane primer. Same thing, just the terminology. But anyway, what this is going to do is give us the proper amount of foundation to apply our base coat. So it will increase the longevity of the paint, and it is the proper way to do it when you're working with a raw plastic or a new unprimed part. And it's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes before I can top coat my sealer, but I can paint the fender here, so I can do that first. I'm going to go around the edges and make sure they're well covered, because they're kind of the areas that tend to get neglected, and sometimes you don't get full coverage. So you want to make sure you're applying base in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and color the rest of it in and blend it out into the door, step it out gradually. I'm also using the waterborne version of Onyx opposed to the solvent, which would have worked just fine as well. But I just decided to go with the waterborne. And I'm going to put it on pretty wet. And since it's going to be about 2.5 coats, you just want to keep stepping out the blend a little bit more each time, and ideally sort of angling it off as you go. So here is what it looks like after the first coat has been put on nice and wet. You can see it has a nice even look to it, a little bit kind of texturized, which is pretty normal. Once it flashes off, it's going to have a nice even look like this, and the base is going to be nice and flat. You can see it's still sort of flashing off on the fender, but the door is mostly dry, and you can see the blend is tapering out quite well. You're going to see a little bit of a difference, more of the reflection, because we have that sanded down door, and the base coat has a bit of a sheen to it, so you can sort of see from that perspective. But once we clear, that's all going to go away. And if I had to have applied the orientation coat, which, as I think I've mentioned, maybe not yet, I didn't really need to, because it's an easier color to blend out on this job, and I kind of want to show a few different ways that you can use this paint. But had I have used the orientation coat first, everything would have looked kind of the same gloss level, and you probably wouldn't even see any difference at this point. But anyway, here's the second coat going on, and I'm going to put that on nice and wet again, angle out my blend, and then I'm going to drop my pressure down from about 25, 26 down to about 21, 22, increase my distance, and put on another coat, which is going to shift the color to the proper position, orientate the metallics, and clear up any sort of modeling inconsistencies in the metallics that might have occurred. Now, certain colors, this is a little bit more imperative on, and the actual recommended way from BASF is to let this coat flash off and then do your orientation coat. I know a lot of guys spray it this way on tougher colors where you're having issues with modeling in your blends, or you're doing a front end where modeling might become an issue on, say, a silver or gold. Then you probably want to do that, let this flash off, and then do your drop coat. But on a color like this, I've always been able to get away with it, and even some silvers and golds too, but that's just a technique that you might want to keep in mind if you're working with Onyx a lot. And here is just me using my new camera slider to its full potential by getting random shots of guns on washers, and then a useful one here at this door. So you can see it's a nice blend going on here. Everything looks pretty good, and we are ready for clear. You can see a little bit better what I was talking about, from where it goes from that wet textured look to when it dries, it lays very flat, and you have a nice even look like this. So I'm using my new gun from SATA, which is the SATA 1000 RP. Which is their mid-range clear coat gun. The 4000 RP is their higher end one, which I'm hoping to get a chance to spray one of these days. But after spraying the Iwata WS400, I've got to say I really like that one quite a bit better because of the massive fan pattern and the way it just atomizes the clear. I thought was quite a bit better than this gun here. It could be a matter of personal preference too, because I do have a brother that sprays. He's used this one a few times and he absolutely loved it, and he thought it was better than the Iwata. So maybe it's just personal taste. But anyway, I'm going to break this gun in and even the Iwata a little bit further before I can really give an accurate comparison. That's just kind of my first thoughts on using this gun. And I'm using the 15-minute production clear from BASF, the RMDC21NB, and so it's also a production clear, so it's a fast drying clear, so it's kind of tough to really gauge an opinion on a gun because usually production clears are a little bit tougher to spray, especially across bigger panel jobs like this. I also did have the chance not long ago to try a different paint mixing liner sort of system, which was the SATA RPS cups, and I have to say they were fantastic. It doesn't ever feel like you're starving for material. It flows so much better, has a choke on the top that lets the air come through the gun, and I'm gonna have to get some of those one of these days and do some work with them and show you a little bit more about them. But if you get the chance and you're a painter out there, pick them up, give them a try, and let me know what you think. Alright, so if you look closely here, you can see my new camera slider that I was talking about, which is pretty exciting. I think I just actually came into the shop to test out my camera equipment more than paint a card, so this paint job was more the byproduct of my camera test, and I think it was a win-win for both things, so I think everybody should be happy here. We have a nice blend going on, and you can see the finish a lot better here. You can see there's a few little dirt nibs there, which I couldn't really capture accurately before. Usually there's a few minor dirt nibs in the average job I do, which sometimes need to be polished down, sometimes you just let them go. But anyway, everything's looking pretty good. So that is going to be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and sorry that the editing has been a little bit bare-boned lately. I know some people prefer it that way, but I like to jazz them up a bit and put my own little spin on it. But time just hasn't been on my side, and until I find an editor that will work for maybe my leftover pesos from Mexico or smartphones that I've broken and stepped on over the years, I think this is just the way they're going to come for the next little while. So anyway, leave me a comment below because I love hearing from you. It's one of the thrills of my life. So thanks again, and we will see you next time.